Here is Brian Stewart.
Good evening. Peter is away this week. That listeriosis outbreak is actually worse tonight than we first thought. Officials say 12 people have died and more than 50 cases are under investigation across the country. The CBC's Laurie Graham will have more on the Maple Leaf Foods meat recall that was expanded over the weekend. But first, our health reporter Maureen Taylor with what it all means and whether the worst is over.
As Canadian grocers yanked meat products off their shelves in the wake of an expanded recall, more deaths are being blamed on the listeriosis outbreak.
As of today, our numbers of confirmed cases of this outbreak strain will include anyone who had this particular strain in their body at the time of death, whether it was the actual cause of death or not.
That brings the death toll to 12, 11 in Ontario and 1 in BC. Another 14 people are confirmed to have been sickened in the outbreak. 29 other cases are still under investigation, and officials say it's not over yet.
We fully expect that both the numbers of suspected cases and confirmed cases will increase as this investigation continues and samples continue to be tested.
Maple Leaf Foods shut down its Toronto meat packaging plant last week when the Canadian Food Inspection Agency informed the company some of its products tested positive for Listeria. Only then did the company issue a voluntary recall. Today, this surprising revelation from Maple Leaf. The company's own routine testing showed the presence of the bacteria in the plant before people began to get sick.
We would occasionally find a positive Listeria swab, in which case we sanitize that complete area and we test again.
But although the equipment would be cleaned, the company isn't required to test the food products themselves. This food safety expert says Maple Leaf should be more forthcoming about its own test results.
What types of Listeria that they've been finding, and really talk about if they had seen any problems themselves, because it's really up to the company to control this. It's not an inspection issue as far as I'm concerned.
Listeria may be common, but infection in humans is not. It's mostly the elderly, the immune-compromised, and pregnant women who get ill. Experts say with an incubation period of between 11 and 70 days, we'll likely be hearing about cases right into September. Maureen Taylor, CBC News, Toronto.
Marcina Bessissar runs the kitchen at a senior's home in Winnipeg. Today, she's in the freezer on inspection duty, trying to match the meat inside with what's on Maple Leaf's latest recall list.
We double-check everything over and over. I've checked it already 3 times today.
It's not an easy list to follow. It's nearly 10 pages long with 220 different products, including other brand names like Hickory Farms, Shopsy's, and Schneider's. It's believed to be the largest meat recall in Canadian history. Now, some shelves in grocery stores across the country are bare, and consumers are confused.
I'm just a little bit scared, and I probably won't buy meat for a little while.
It's kind of hard to tell, though, like a lot of things you don't know if they come from the Maple Leaf thing.
The Maple Leaf thing is now an infamous marking, a tiny code, 97B, which identifies the Toronto processing plant that tested positive for Listeria. This grocery store in Newfoundland carried 35 of the products on the list.
A lot of sliced meats have been removed from the shelf, and as well as all of our bologna, the 2 major things that we've taken off.
It also posted the recall list around the store and has staff on hand to answer questions.
So whatever you bought, you just bring back in the store, we'll give you a credit number.
A convenience store chain in Alberta didn't want to take any chances, so it pulled roughly 24,000 sandwiches just in case.
We're getting fresh product produced as we speak and hope to be back in business by tomorrow.
This pizza place had to throw out questionable pepperoni, and after a frantic search, it found a new supplier. So, pepperoni and cheese is back on the menu.
A lot of Sunday morning phone calls to a lot of people scrambling just to get pepperoni from suppliers.
Maple Leaf has been doing damage control almost daily, and over the weekend, the president issued an apology.
This week, our best efforts failed, and we are deeply sorry.
But for some, sorry is not enough. Today, a class action lawsuit has been launched against Maple Leaf Foods by hundreds of people, including families of loved ones who died. Maple Leaf was trying to get its Toronto processing plant back up and running by tomorrow, but Canada's Food Inspection Agency says it will decide when the plant can reopen, and says that's not likely until at least the end of the week. Lori Graham, CBC News, Toronto.
There's a serious manhunt underway in Saskatchewan tonight for 5 inmates who escaped from the Regina Correctional Centre. The prisoners all burst out of the building last night, and as Cameron McIntyre